step back before Konstanz.
Hey.
Just not the outside the work in this area. And the rest of the logo is much
Full disclosure, it was when I was in school, touch cards. By the time I started my first job, we had CRTs.
Yeah.
They were very few, so you had to preserve it to use it.
If you went into a lab, literally almost the body count.
Yeah. Talk about the time between coding and getting it to execute. A syntax, you know, like if you get a period, it's like, what?
days.
No,
Days.
when you repunch the same card wrong,
Yeah, oh God.
Okay, let's start with the last session, I think, of this day. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming for this last session. And I just posted the presentation of Dan before, and he told me he was very long back, and I'm even longer back working on mainframes. So I started on a mainframe since 1976. So next year, it's 50 years. So I started working on mainframes in Konstanz, it's in Germany, it's Lake Konstanz. During study, I punched my first programs. What program language do you expect? COBOL, yes. What studied was the last
Fortran.
time? Not assembler, no.
Fortran.
Fortran.
PL1.
I see.
Came much later. Algo. Yes. I'm the co-founder of the European Mainframe Academy. We educate new mainframers in the German-speaking countries, mainly in the German-speaking countries. We're just switching also to do it in English for other areas. And I'm the president of the Academic Mainframe Consortium in Germany. And the Mainframe Consortium is a non-profit where the members are students, universities, IT customers, vendors, and supporters. And it's a very good community to exchange information. We have our own environment. I'll show it to you afterwards. So I want to give you a few information with some slides. And afterwards, if I have time, I will give a short presentation to show you these different worlds. Different worlds not means I don't punch cards now, but I want to show you the 3270 interface and compare it to the newer interfaces, especially to Visual Studio Code. Okay, this is where I live. It's no longer in Germany, it's in Switzerland, Stein am Rhein. It's directly at the Rhine. The Rhine River goes to Schaffhausen, Rhine Falls, maybe you heard of it. Yeah, very nice area. Okay, can you name the first computers?
Enigma, wasn't it?
What?
One of the Enigma?
Enigma, okay. No, Systems for 60 comes years later.
Oh, linear.
Yeah, no, it's the first computers were women. Katrin Johnson, glaube ich, sie brauchen jetzt
AI.
Jackson.
They had AI there.
Have you heard about the movie? Hidden Figures? Yeah. Based on the untold true story, meet the women you don't know behind the mission you do. Yeah. Very nice. Some more are very involved, but the hidden figures talk about especially the black women who were involved in doing supporting the Apollo mission, but nobody knew about it. And they had also, at the last part of the movie, there is a machine introduced, but not yet the 360 mainframe. It was years before. It was a 7090 data processing system. And one of the women, I think it was Dorothy Warren, had a manual in her hand with Fortran, And this was the first Fortran manuals that worked afterwards also with the first machines.
Nice.
Okay. Now this is Margareta Hamilton, and she was also involved in the Apollo mission. And in 2016, I think, she got the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama because of her work on the also on the Apollo mission. And I think she was then 83. She still lives, and I think she looks very, very similar to the first picture. Yeah, didn't change too much. Okay, punch cards, punch reader, printer. The term batch refers to a stack of punch cards. Maybe you heard of it. Punch cards were fed via a card reader, and many programmers did it with sheets, program sheets, and the program sheets were afterwards put into punch cards, mainly not by the programmers, but by some staff who did this. Okay. And afterwards, they were read in with a card reader, and the output normally was printed with a printer. And then in between, IBM came up with 360. I don't go into details how it came to this idea, but it was a great idea. IBM 360, the architecture, the first time IT team defined this term architecture, and it was a 360 architecture, and afterwards 370. And with 370, in fact, I started also working with mainframes. And this is a picture from a newspaper in the United States, Michigan University, 1972, when IBM came up with a new interface. So the programmer had no longer punch cards to punch cards. They had an interactive interface, and it was TSO. Who worked with TSO? Okay, maybe it's this one. Let's see. What's the attendance here? Okay, okay. You need a 370 terminal, or needed a 370 terminal. You don't need it anymore, but you still need, when you want to work with 3270, you have to have a so-called terminal emulation. I'll come to that later. TSO, base element in between of zeros. TSO stands for time sharing option, but it's no longer an option. Today it's integrated into the operating system. So who has a zeros available can work with TSO. You need a network, SNA in former days. You don't need longer, of course, SNA. All connections are done with TCP/IP. You need a terminal or terminal emulation because the job stream or the stream, data stream is still 3270. And 3270 means different things. It means the first terminal that was available, and also means the traffic between the terminal and the mainframe in the 3270 interface. You need a user ID, means entry in the RF database or as ACF2 or whatever. You need a security ID. And you still need it also when you work with Visual Studio Code. I'll come to that later. You have to have an alias entry in master catalog. Don't go into detail here, of course. The user data are registered in the user catalog. Don't go into more details here. And an alias entry connects a so-called high-level qualifier. Think who work already with 2270 interface knows about what is a high-level qualifier. Yeah. And the high-level qualifier has an alias pointer to the user catalog, because the user catalogs can be better managed than the master catalog. Okay, this is an interface, TSO, the user ID, RACF information, and so on, some other information. And this is afterwards the interface that many work with. It's ISPF, Interactive System Productivity Facility. And in between, the Open Mainframe project came up. I think you know John Mertic, he's the director of the program. I think he still is. And in summer 2020, there was a Linux media. Why would you want mainframe? And John Nottick did an interview, and thanks to Zoe, a green screen, it was no longer a green screen, but it's called green screen, 30 to 70 is no longer, and this is really important, the only way to access the mainframe. So it's another access, another possibility, but it's not the only way. You can have access to the mainframe in between with SSH, with REST APIs, then told before about it, JavaScript, Power Desktops, IDEs are important. And I work, as I already told you, for the European Mainframe Academy, and we try to convince our customers that the first step to get in touch with the mainframe should no longer be TSO ISPF, it should be an interface the students already know, can be Visual Studio Code or another IDE, IntelliJ or whatever. Okay, this is a punch card. Another one, next one, and so on. And the code is still the same. And in between, we used ISPF. The code is still the same. It's the first card, it's the first card, second card, and so on. Still the same. And now we have Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. Code is still the same. First card, second card, and so on. And this is important, and it's no longer necessary, it's possible, but it's no longer necessary that young talents have to know about TSO, ISPF, and so on. It's good if they know about JCL, because this still is JCL as example. Yeah? That's important, but they don't know, need to know how to use TSO and ISPF. It's not complicated, but it's a hurdle on the first step into the mainframe area. So interface modernization is a good idea, and very interesting. Today in the morning I was in the fitness center of my hotel, and I saw a video on YouTube from Andrew Hench. Don't know if you know him. He's a Stanford professor and has a lot to do with artificial intelligence. And this is a file is not checked in the output because I've created it today. This is Andrew Hench, and he told you punch cards, assembly, text editor, and AI coding assistance. So there are different steps, and he said some people advise students not to learn coding on the grounds AI will automate it. This is a bad career advice. So you still have to have knowledge about programming, also if you use the newest technologies. So it started with the oldest technologies, and of course with new interface, with TSO, ISPF, and so on, the people got more productive. And with the next interface, text editor and IDE stands for Visual Studio Code, so people get more productive. And with AI coding assistance, I don't go into more details here. It's Watson X as example. And still the next step, more productive, but you still have to have the knowledge of programming. Now Visual Studio Code has extensions. We have the IBM C Open Editor with COBOL, BL1, high-level assembler, Rex, Dan showed it also before. Workflows for C is the definition of COSMF workflows. There's a COBOL check in between, and already Dan also told you there's a GitHub site where all the stuff is available. Links and resources, Open Mainframe website, GitHub, and so on. And the next step, I told you I just want to show you a few slides. I want to make a demonstration and to show you that both worlds are working together, and it's just one world but different interfaces. So I go to the internet, And I told you normally you need a terminal emulation. There's a software we can also use at our university sites. You know Virtel from Sysprotec. It's a French company. And with this Virtel software, you can interface with TSO, ISPF, CICS, and so on without a terminal emulation. It's browser-based, and the emulation is done on the server side. Now I click on TSO. Not before. Ah, okay. Enter user ID. This is the TSO user ID. And I'm connected now to a computer, Mainframe, at the Leipzig University in Germany. And this is where we got it from via the academic mainframe consortium from customers. I think it's already the fourth or fifth computer we got from customer sites. It's in between, it's a C15. We have COS 3.1, it's a nearly most current version. The next is 3.2 on it. And this is the interface, and we are connected now. I'm connected now to the University Leipzig in Germany on our mainframe. And you just see, this is the same interface I just showed you. And now I can log on with my password. The password has to be registered with the security environment. In our case, it's WACF, can be ACF2 or other security environments. There are some other parameters, not very interested. I go into it, and now you see, normally you directly go into ISPF. You can define it before, and now I'm in ISPF. That's normally that's not a problem. Okay, and now I can work with ISPF, and I go in 3.4 because I want to show you Cobalt program in this case. So this is again the high-level qualifier, the first part of the data set name, and then I want to see all that begins with my high-level qualifier and the second qualifier test and whatever comes afterwards. Now you see different data sets, and I want to show the Cobalt data set. Say edit, and here is the Cobalt code. I just want to show you the hello world program, very small. And you also see it's no longer just green screen, it's also with other colors, but it's still the 3270 interface. And displays hello world from Cobalt today for UBS. That's because I think 2 weeks ago I did a presentation at UBS, same idea. Okay, so now to compile this program, we need to have JCL in this case. So I say just put the button to, and oh, I get a new ISPF screen. I tried it before and it was very fast. Okay, again, I have now 2 screens. Maybe you know it all, of course. Again, 3.4. Again, and now I go to CNTL. CNTL stands for control, it's job control. And I have a job I want to start. And the job is called one more. Yes, it is, yeah. With punch card, in fact, at the university, we had to wait for maybe 1 or 2 days to get the result. And in these times, you try to get your programs much more better in the first place,
Yeah.
because afterwards you have to wait 1 day, 2 days, sometimes more.
For
No?
syntax errors and.
Yeah, just a comma missing or something like this. Okay, now pop CLG stands for compile, link, and go. I want to compile, link, and already execute my program. This I can do with this JCL. I say submit, and it's running, already ended. Max condition code 0, looks good. So I can have a look what happened. I start a new screen with F2. And I go to M.5, it's the interface to SESF. And here I say H for the output queue. And here I have my COBOL program. And a lot of information. That is sometimes also frustrating for new attendees, because a lot of information is displayed concerning all the stuff. And this is the last column. Hello world for COBOL today for UBS. Okay, now this was the old interface. Now I want to start a new interface. I look for Visual Studio Code, and Visual Studio Code is started. You have to install, of course, some products from the Mainframe project, the Node.js, and you have to have Java installed and so on. And then you need the extensions, and one of the extensions is the SOI Explorer. And when I click now on the SOI Explorer, I see interfaces. I'm not yet connected, but I can connect now, hopefully, again to the same environment I just showed you. Okay, here I give in the same information I just gave in ISPF, means first qualifier, second qualifier, and now the enter. And here I have the same information I had before, now in Visual Studio Code. But it's much easier for young talents to work with Visual Studio Code than to work with TSO ISPF. Okay. Let's look after our program. Here it is. Hello world from COBOL today for UBS, and I say no now for Tech Exchange. Okay. Of course, I have to save it.
Closing quote.
Have I left it? No, I want to show the light. It would take too much time. Okay, control save. It's the same. Wrong.
Line number on. No one else has.
Okay.
Can you enter TSO commands for editing?
What now?
Can you do the editing, mass editing, like for number off?
I think so, yes. Okay, let's try it again. Now I don't. Okay. I go back to see.
You need the double quote instead of the single quote.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Very good.
Such programmers.
Yep. Otherwise, we would get an error.
Right now, it just cost about $5,000.
Okay, now I go back to CMTL. And in CMTL, of course, in the JCL member, of course, I have the same information I had before, but it's easier for me here to change to CLG, it's the same, of course it's the same JCL because it's the same program I want to compile. And now I use the right mouse key and say submit job. Job is submitted and I can click here on the job ID. And here I see the same information I got before in SPSF. I get it now in Visual Studio Code. Okay. Different, I could also show you in SPSF that I can also separate the different outputs, that's not a problem. But the output I just want to show you is, for you guys, I think it didn't save my
File error.
If you go back to
You
save
didn't
the,
save it or you had a compile error?
Yeah, I think I didn't save it. No, it's not a compile error because otherwise I wouldn't get the information here.
you would need to save the file again because it shows the little dot,
Yeah.
the hello, that cobble.
No. Okay, I think it's not solid problem. I hope you believe me that normally it works. I want to show you another thing which is also interesting for mainframe people who also have the authority to put in console commands. You know that it's also possible if you have it rightly installed. You can click on COS console. And on COS console you can say display F display, and you see the output which is from the operator console.
I would imagine you would have that restricted.
You have to have the access rights to use it. Yeah, of course. It's controlled by RACF, by the security product. So no, a normal user cannot go into this interface. Yeah.
It doesn't change any user access or resource controls.
What else can I show you? Yeah. You also can access the Unix system service interface. In this case, we type in the passname /u/something in this case, and here you see the interface to yeah, the interface to the Unix system services environment. And you can also work with Unix interfaces, Unix commands, and so on. And what I really think is important that it's of course not just available now for COBOL, it's also available for Python, it's also available for other new stuff. And I told you next year I work on mainframes for 50 years. And it's really my opinion, the last 15 years are the most interesting because so much new stuff is coming onto the mainframe. And we really like to teach our young talents, not just the old stuff, we also want to teach the new stuff. With Python, with the Zoe open, what do you call it, Zoe open automation utilities and so on. Yeah. COS, yeah. Okay. This is what I want to show you. I'm a little too fast, but any questions, any commands, any ideas?
Just a comment. You didn't necessarily show it, and it may require other extensions, but another benefit to bringing it into Visual Studio Code is highlighting.
Yeah. Oh yes. One thing I can show you, we always get discussions also on customer sites, and some customers say our programmers who program COBOL are more productive than the people who work with Visual Studio Code, and I think that's no longer true. It's no longer possible. I show you again the COBOL code. And when I put in COBOL code and so as example, P like perform, I get a lot of information what I can do And this is not just true for performance, this is for all the statements. So the code extensions and so on makes the programmers, in my opinion, really much more productive. But of course, the old programmers who work with COBOL don't know that, and so they want to work with ISPF and so on. But we try to convince our customers when we do education, let's start to get new talents up and running with mainframes with Visual Studio Code or other IDE. They are much more.
Do you know, does Visual Studio do the same with JCL that it's doing here with COBOL?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
IntelliSys.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Some have code completion, some have.
I think one of the
Snippets.
ISPF,
Oh, sorry.
one of the ISPF got much more productive in between. I showed you before, and I know many people who don't know how to work with different ISPF screens. They still work with a split screen with two, and it's not enough because here the programmers can work with the COBOL code, they can work with the was running, they can work with the JCLs, they can work with SPSF and so on. Yeah.
Did you work that, set up with multiple L cars?
But that?
You set that up with multiple L cars?
Yeah. No, not multiple L. We work at the Leipzig University. We work with CVM. So the COL system is, we are much more flexible with CVM. Yeah. But it's not no difference from the interface. We have the same interface with Virtual, and if it's if it works on CVM or if it works with LPAR, doesn't matter at all. And normally, the speed of the answers are much better than I showed you here. We have no problems at all with the performance. So performance is not a problem, also not with CVM.
You said it works with all the ISPF and macros, like exclude,
Yeah.
select.
Yeah, of course, you can a lot of, of course you can also be productive with TSO ISPF, that's not a problem at all. But the important thing I wanted to show you also with the sentence from Mertic, it's not the only interface. You can use TSO ISPF and you can use VS Code. And some people know both environments. I know, of course, more the TSO ISPF environment, but I also like the VS Code environment.
So I have a point to make, and you know, this interface is very quick in the 3270 legacy. And when you step into Visual Studio Code, you realize you have to be running ZOSMF, the Liberty server that's driven underneath it, resource consumption, and secondly, you have to be running Zoe. So as you qualify this and quantify it, I agree that Zoe is the new wave, but there is an additional resource consumption happening on the back end that it seems to me these days is ignored, and maybe because the CPU is so cheap. In the older days, it was more expensive. But I'm kind of from the old days too, right? So I think in terms of network bandwidth, in terms of qualification of resource consumption, not only functionality. So that's just the perspective I bring forward, right?
That's not true in all cases.
Pardon me? Well, if you are on a ZPDT, you can see it floor it. And if you got zip processors, it's going to help you, right?
No, I mean, the connections can vary now. We have new
Yes, you
protocols.
talked about the secure
That's
socket
right.
shells, right?
Yep.
So we're recognizing that,
Okay.
there are compromises and we're addressing those.
So that's part of the motivation for moving there.
That's right.
Now, that's great. I appreciate the feedback.
So we are lucky with our environment in Leipzig. We don't have any performance issues. And, and we don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, when you're paying for the resource,
No,
this is a heavy model,
no.
right? And you gotta,
It's an important issue.
those are MSUs you get charged.
But I think most of the stuff runs on subs, chips, or not on the classic CPs. The Zoe stuff doesn't run on the CPs, it runs on the chips. Yeah.
I don't think so, I don't know.
No.
That's
Of course, Cobol runs.
Well, when you talk about the Liberty server under ZOS, that's running somewhat on the ZIP processors, right? To offload some of that resource consumption.
That makes sense.
Okay. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for Thank you.
Interesting that you mentioned sort of the workload and all, and
Well, I